Well, I want to take a moment here and I want to respond to a video that I saw on Bree's channel. Right along with Bree, link in the description, and I also have a link to the video itself in the description. Basically, what it boils down to is that the video says that she got a comment from another driver that said, "Cherry picking ruined me." What if I told you that it didn't? And the gist of this thing is that this driver asserts to Bree that cherry picking ruined them because they don't get orders anymore for hours, trying to get their acceptance rate above 30% for some tier, which again, you know what I believe about those tier levels. They're worthless. And I think this is probably just proof of that. So they're saying that because they cherry picked and they're trying to get their acceptance rate back above 30% in order to get the offers again, but the Uber has basically stonewalled them along the way. Here's something else that this person needs to consider. They did not explain to Bree anything about their particular market, because I think that's going to probably be where the answers actually lie. As I've explained before on this channel, I am in a small city / ex-urban / semi-rural market, Forest Lake, Minnesota. Population 20,000 in the city limits, with a market area or trade area of about 50,000 if you include the rural areas around us and some of the smaller towns around us, such as Columbus to the west or Scandia to the east. These are small towns with maybe a small handful of thousand of people. So the total gets to about 50,000 within the DoorDash delivery area. Now within the Uber delivery area, it gets to about 60,000. And I've said this before on this channel. Uber, of course, is disparate. They will accept very long deliveries. And in my case, this goes into western Wisconsin. So towns like Osceola, Wisconsin are in the Uber delivery zone from Forest Lake. That's about 25 miles to our east. But you want to look at the market to find the real answer to this particular question. And in my market, if you decline too many trips or whatever, and you start getting stonewalled, the effect could actually be quite legitimate. Because if you're flagged by the app as somebody who doesn't take a lot of orders, it will send you less orders as a matter of natural course. It makes sense. Why are you going to send an offer to a driver who's likely to decline it? So, and again, you know my standards for that. I've explained the math here before. Typically $1.60 per mile, sometimes as low as $1.50 per mile, because I'm talking about 72 cents per mile to go out and 72 cents per mile to go back, making my break-even point $1.44 per mile. I'm also baking in wait times at restaurants because our market here has some of the longest in the nation. We average 12 minutes per restaurant wait. 12 minutes per dash. And again, you got to go deeper into this market to find the answer to why. This market struggles with labor. Restaurants can't hire enough people. They can't keep people hired. We can't tap into the Minneapolis and St. Paul labor markets because of our lack of public transit. We are taxed as part of the transit district, but we do not receive any service at all. So we can't tap into the labor markets of the cities of Minneapolis or St. Paul because they cannot get here if they don't have a car. If they do have a car and if they can drive, it's a long trip. If they're in St. Paul, that's 30 miles. If they're in Minneapolis, that's 35 miles. Why make the trip to Forest Lake if you can get something closer to home that might pay a little bit closer to what you need to live? Why would they drive up here? And again, they can't take a bus up here or any sort of mass transit. It doesn't exist. So, to answer the question, why is this person getting stonewalled by Uber and not getting delivery orders for hours? My answer is the same as it usually is. Dig into your market and find those answers. You'll probably find them there. I'll have a link to Bree's video in the description. She does a pretty good job breaking it down. She doesn't have my explanation for it, but she just breaks down her description of this situation pretty well. By the way, I've admitted before that, I did initially find her attractive, but that's not the reason why I follow her videos. It's her factual breakdown and thought process into accepting things. Also, she's married, and her husband is the reason why she started her channel, which I think is actually quite awesome. So to be fair, link to her video in the description, link to her channel also in the description, and my answer is right here. Dig into your market. Know the conditions. You always want to know your market, no matter what. Because the answers to most of your questions are going to be in that analysis. You folks have a good week. I'll see you later. Peace out, homies.